And right off the top, I'm going to do all the dirty work. Text us.
Yes, please.
590. The second half of the show,
Yes.
Sammy and I are going to take your text. It can be on the Stanley Cup Final if you like. It can be on Sammy's hockey team of choice. It could be on golf. U.S. Open's on right now.
Yeah.
JJ Spawn, -5. Made 18 of 19 putts inside 20 feet yesterday. You want to talk about that?
That's really good.
Yes, but more than that.
Yeah. What a hockey.
What a game.
What a hockey. I can't. I'm having a hard time with this
What do you mean you're having a hard time?
because I think a lot of Leaf fans listen to the show,
Yeah.
and it is such an electric final.
Yeah.
And these are two unbelievable teams. But there are two, it's very directly connected to Leaf fandom and
Okay.
just because
This is always fun when you co-host because then I don't even know what angle we've got off the top.
I just don't. I want to root for the Oilers, okay?
Okay.
I really do. But last night I went to the Kendrick Lamar concert in Toronto. Fantastic.
How was that?
Watching the phone. I watched the game on my phone the entire time. I gotta be honest. It was a good concert, but I was watching the game the entire time. The game was so good. I'm like, I love this game. I'm gonna watch this instead. But I went out. I saw the tying goal right before, with 20 seconds left, and then I went to a local establishment with my wife, met up with some friends, and I went there and I watched the overtime at a packed Toronto bar.
Yeah, oh boy.
And, it's an electric atmosphere in there. There's some live band karaoke going on. People are fired up. The drinks are flowing, whatever. And Leon Draisaitl scores. And I got to tell you, man, the bar erupted.
Yeah.
And I was wearing my Leaf bucket. I was disgusted.
Yeah?
I was a little bit upset. This is I know the Canada's team. We don't want a team from Florida. So it's I want the Oilers to win, I think, but whatever result happens in this, it just disgusts me. It's a really, but outside of that, one of the best hockey games. And if you're an Oiler fan, and if the Oilers go on to win this series, morning, that game will be talked about for generations.
Yeah, we're showing the Draisaitl winner, the mustard he gets on a one-hand attempted pass. I know it's a mess, and we're going to get into that on the goaltending side of it and all that. But it is a pretty darn good play he tries to make. I will say, I have been, and this is going back about a decade, on team, you shouldn't root for another team just because it's Canada.
Yes.
If you're a Sens fan, you don't want the Leafs to win just because the Cup will come back to Canada. But we kind of crossed a threshold where it's embarrassing.
It is. That's fair. And that's part of the reason I'm doing it.
Whether it's late night talk shows or whatever, just the jokes about we always have the Stanley Cup, the Americans joking about having the cup year after year.
Yeah.
It's been enough for me to be, see, I have the other side of it too, where I grew up an Islanders fan. And, the first team that breaks the Islanders dynasty is the Oilers.
Yeah.
They meet them twice in the final.
A lot of history between the two franchises.
Yeah. And so I was kind of grew up, I was I'm supposed to hate the Rangers and the Oilers. That's kind of the way it is. I've softened on the Oilers for sure. And I think, I've come to grips with the fact that ready for it to come back. So I was cheering for him last night.
Yeah. But a roar at a Toronto bar, it was a big pop. I was like, oh, God, that hurt. But what I will say...
Fans love hearing that, by the way. Oilers fans love that.
If you're an Oilers fan, and you just get... If you win the Cup this year, which feels a lot more possible right this second with the momentum coming off that win, and I know Paul Maurice always says that the momentum between games doesn't exist, blah, blah, blah. But if you win the Cup and you have that Game 4 in Sunrise as the turning point of the series where you're down 3-0, it just felt like the Cup, it felt like the Florida Panthers had at that period and they were going to win the Stanley Cup.
Foot on the throat and they let them get up.
It just was over. They were listless. They had nothing. Apparently, Corey Perry stands up in the room. Leadership stands up in the room. They come together, all this stuff. That will be talked about for the rest of all of our lives. To get McDavid's first Cup, if they can win it, to lead them on the way. And it wasn't even him that did it.
No.
He only had 1 point. He was a -1 in the game. It wasn't even him. It's Darnell Nurse scoring a goal for you. Yeah. Ryan Nugent-Hopkins who comes through, and of course Draisaitl who comes through. But, that's an amazing, amazing hockey game, and this series has been phenomenal so far.
I got to tell you, when it was 3-0 Florida, And going into that period, Pickard starts second period. I thought about betting Edmonton. And I hear you say a lot of people, it was over, it's Florida's, whatever. The defining characteristic of this Oilers team is they're not dead. And just when everyone writes them off, just when you think they're done. Now, I wasn't shocked that they got back into it. The one thing that bothers me is the Perry stood up in the room, fixed it, sort of like narrative that came out after the game.
We gotta be better, guys.
Well, it's like...
That's right! We can't have anyone freak out there,
How many times...
We gotta keep our composure!
How many times did guys deliver the compelling
and then
message?
Lose 8-0.
And then the other team's goalie just plays great.
Or you lose like 4 more goals.
You know, like it's like last night you have the Darnell Nurse goal, which pinpoint shot or whatever, but Bobrovsky's flat in his net rather than square to the shot.
No good last night.
No good. It goes up under him. You get a one-hander in OT that goes in. Like, absolutely, I'm sure Perry and all those boys, but like, the Oilers are trying. They weren't not trying.
No, I know.
Prior to that. So,
Great observation.
I'm just not shocked that this Oilers team does it, but I do think it's noteworthy that it wasn't McDavid and that it did come from other places. And where it comes from with this Oilers team, that decor to me, they seem to be impervious to the we're done thing. They just keep playing the same way regardless. And they can make plays. Like Bouchard can score, Wallman rips a 1T, Nurse can
Could
score.
he hit that harder?
I know, like how fun was that shot? So cathartic.
Yeah.
And that to me, and you brought it, the Leafs into the question, it's like, you have to get some offense from your back end. They get Nurse, they get Wallman, Bouchard's a top point getter in the playoffs for them. They generate from there. So when you're looking at the Oil and saying, who else is going to do it? Often it's those guys.
100%. And you mentioned like the no quit thing. There was 3 different moments in that game where you could look back on and be like heartbreaking moments in the loss. Going down 3-0 in the first period. And then I'll point to the save that Bobrovsky made to keep it
on Perry.
Was that to keep it 3-3? I think it was to keep it 3-3, and Wallman ends up scoring. But the toe save that he makes on Perry, and then giving up a tying goal to Sam Reinhart with 20 seconds left. It's like those are all little moments where like mental hurdles that you get over, and you still find a way to go in there. That was a sort of team of destiny kind of win where it's like you're not supposed to get that one, and now that they did, going home, like can you imagine what that building's going to be like on Saturday night? Greased up crowd.
Apparently what all of Canada's going to be like. We will find out more.
The bar in Toronto will definitely be electric again. Oh my God.
All right, well, we're joined now by Shayna Goldman, national hockey writer at The Athletic and the Too Many Men podcast. Shayna, how you doing?
I'm great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We're just obviously talking about Game 4 last night. Love to get your takeaways on what you saw out of that game. That was great theater.
Oh my God, it was a banger. Yeah. I was very upset in that first period, and it's funny, like I tweeted like, oh, that's game, set, match, and it was funny, like as the Oilers started coming back, people are like trying to dunk on me. I'm like, I'll dunk on myself. No one's gonna be happier than me that we have a game, right? Because I want competitive hockey. I want it to be exciting. I think the conference finals were pretty awful. Just give me drama, and oh my God, did we get it? Like, how could you be upset with 3 out of 4 games in this series?
Yeah, it's been a really incredible, just feels like the rivalry has really built to this point now where I guess game 3 was a bit greasy with that kind of stuff, but now feels from here on out, game 5 and on is when it really feels like that stuff starts to clean up and the stakes are so high. Like, what are you looking for from the Oilers after that comeback? Like, do you think this is one where they just roll now, or do you think the Panthers can push back?
I'm sure the Panthers are going to push back. I mean, it's what they do, right? I would be very surprised if the Oilers win 2 straight, but I think the Oilers are going to know you cannot come into the game unglued like you did in game 3. And it's funny, you look around and see everybody talking about it, and some people are saying unhinged, but like the consensus word is unglued. And you couldn't find a better word to describe what the Oilers looked like in game 3 from puck drop, right? Like it was the worst case scenario. So I think they know they need to keep their composure and continue on with business, right? You go from the Western Conference Final and Connor McDavid gets interviewed. They go, what's different about this team? He felt like they were more on business. They're not as emotional. Well, you couldn't tell that in game 3. So the fact that they found that again. Like, that to me is what I'm looking to see them be again here forward, because here's where the nerves could set in, right? You're in a better position than you were last year because you're not down 3-0. You come in, you win a game at home, a game on the road, you're tied, everything's great and wonderful. It's a new best of 3. So you're already feeling better about that, but you have to maintain that and not get nervous now because it's so much closer than it was at this point last year.
The one thing that is strange is they're going to head into Game 5 back in Edmonton, and we don't even know what goalie they're going to start, and they're both healthy. A very tough situation to be in right now. What do you think they're going to do, and what do you think they should do?
I think they're going to go with Pickard. And yeah, I do. I think you start him until he tells you otherwise, right? Because had he not gotten hurt, he could have still been the starter at this point. Literally, who knows? It's a really unique situation because if you go back through past playoffs, and I know it's the rise of 2 goalie situations in the regular season, but once the playoffs hit, generally speaking, you have a starter and a backup, and that's it. And sometimes when you see a team, it's one guy's getting 60% of the starts. They're only getting through 1 or 2 rounds if they're rotating their goaltenders like that. They're not doing that in the Stanley Cup final. So it makes it even more unique. We don't have past precedent, but we have the Oilers precedent from this year, right? We have what they've done in the postseason so far. And I think Pickard gave them a nice boost. I still would not be 100% in that decision. I think he made some excellent saves last night. I also think he comes very far out of the blue paint that I was biting my nails watching him play last night. But I think he's the move for now. And then you keep Stuart Skinner there if you need him. It's not like it's going to be a long layoff, right? Versus what it was. You're not missing 2 rounds of play if you throw him back in. It'll be a matter of a couple days.
Yeah, I mean, he's 7-0 in the playoffs. Yeah. At some point where you mentioned it ain't pretty. There are lots of moments where he feels like he's way overcommitted, but he battles in